Got here with the Profitable Homestead Project. Today, as promised, we're going to talk about the false belief, I just don't have enough resources. Have you ever thought, I just don't have enough resources. I can't do this because I don't have money, or I don't have this or that, the other. Most people are going to be like, well, how am I going to get a piece of land? You don't need one. We talked about that in video 2. You can start right where you're at with what you've got and grow from there. For example, when I first built my first aquaponics system, we were renting. We didn't have space. We didn't even have our own property. And I used 2 little kiddie pools. And then I added on and we moved and we moved. It was really hard, but I kept getting bigger and bigger systems, and I was able to grow more and more. I learned and learned and learned. Where you're at right now is not where you're going to end up. This is just where you're starting, or not really losing momentum. You're gaining it from all your life experience. You're getting more and more. And don't worry if you don't have the resources. Here's something I like to tell people a lot. When times get tough, the tough get resourceful. Let me say that again. When times get tough, the tough get resourceful. I actually used an old freezer that somebody was getting rid of because it didn't work. Well, it didn't work for them, but it sure did fit a liner in it and water in it and fish in it. And it was perfect for the winter because I covered it most of the way up. I was able to keep it heated. When I opened that thing up in the spring, I still had tomato plants growing. I still had other things growing, and the fish were doing wonderful. I had thousands of golden mystery snails in there, which require a warm environment. The freezer actually ended up being the perfect environment for keeping things warm so I could grow. It was beautiful, and it was just a free freezer. I got resourceful. I didn't have money for big old tanks and prefab systems. So I got a little liner and I filled up an old freezer. When times get tough, the tough get resourceful. So if you really want something, you will find a way to get it. Guarantee it. If you have something in your life right now, it's because you wanted it and you figured out a way to get it. Be resourceful. Use what you've got. Start where you are. Grow where you're planted. And get that in you. Get this belief that says you can figure it out and you have the resources. There are so many resources out here. I don't care where you live. If you're in a third world country of poverty, in Haiti, I've seen projects that happen there where the people are giving a chicken, and the only requirement is that some of those chicks come back so they can be given to somebody else. And it's just a beautiful program. And they've also got a system for pigs, and they do it the same way. You get one for free. We ask you to give some back. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about grain, and these people were coming in and they wanted this natural grain so they could raise it. And the guy that had the grain, he says, I'm not going to sell this grain to you. And I'm like, why don't you sell it to us? He says, I'm going to give it to you, but you've got to come back with 3 times as much to give it back to me. And he forgot about it. He frankly forgot about the grain that he'd even given it away. And a couple of seasons or years later, they came back and says, we're going to give you more than you asked for back. They said, we have already spread it to all these different farms, and all of them have given theirs back. We just don't have room for it anymore. Here's the portion that you asked for back, plus a ton more. They didn't have enough room for all this grain. Mother Nature is beautiful. She provides a way. Heavenly Father really created this earth so it's abundant, and there's plenty to go around. So you think about it. You've got a small 10 by 10 area, and you plant it with wheat or barley or whatever it is that you're growing. How many seeds are you going to get out of that? Millions and millions. Mother Nature abhors a vacuum. Always fills it in and grows something out of it. Beautiful. And we get to be stewards of that system. The Lord has given us the ability to really work with this earth and make it better than it was when we got here. And that's the whole point of our homesteads, is to make lives better. And I've got another story for you about people who got really resourceful. You remember the Orville brothers who built the first plane? The brother was on his deathbed, and his other brother was just a wonderful brother, wanted to give him some more strength and ability to really want to survive, and they got interested in this topic like aerodynamics? Can we build? They built bicycles for a living, for heaven's sake, and they figured out how to make a plane. Not because they knew how, not because they had resources. The guy was on his deathbed. They didn't have enough of this, but they went and they tried to figure out how aerodynamics worked, how it flowed over things, and how it could pick things up. And they found that nobody had a good resource on it. They all had flawed results. They made their own system to figure out their own way. And it took a lot of work, and they were really driven because this was a life or death situation for them. It was like, if we don't have a purpose, then we just shrink. And then the brother was literally going to die if he had no reason to live. We all live that way. Got to have a purpose. And that's where the airplane came from. And the first airplane, it only flew a few yards. It wasn't that far. But it didn't take long to go from one success to full-blown airplanes that are flying people all over the world right now. And it's beautiful. The next video, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to do the next video is going to be on the question, but I'm too busy. Have you ever felt too busy? We're going to cover that in the next one. So go ahead and subscribe. Watch the rest of the videos in this series on belief.